It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
You don't know how lucky you are, boy. Back in the U.S., back in the U.S., back in the USSR.
Welcome back to Declare Your Independence, where we're looking like anywhere. I mean, heck, the Beatles, were they clairvoyant? They're going, hey, man, you don't know how lucky you are back there. You know, that's one thing I want to ask you, Simon. Have you, because you've traveled to a lot of what were formerly on the other side of the Iron Curtain, and they're starting to make their way out of this thing and surpassing us and leaving people alone that might be willing to invest there. How about some of the former Soviet Union? What are we looking for there?
Well, you know, these are the places that know that central planning doesn't work. I mean, they've lived through it. They've had the bread lines and all that stuff. They know it doesn't work, and that's the last thing that they want to go back to. So, you know, I prefer those kinds of countries. And we were talking about the Baltics earlier, and specifically because they're small and they don't have these massive budgets and debt facilities that they can borrow money from the Chinese to have these massive police agencies and things like that to go spying on their people. All they want to do is set up conditions where people can succeed, and they just leave everybody the hell alone. And, you know, those are the kinds of places that I prefer to spend my time.
Well, here in this hemisphere, I would imagine you know, Chile's got your attention. I remember reading something on your blog about Japan right before the tsunami and earthquake and such. You were saying, wow, you know, it's not as expensive as people, you know, think stereotypically it is. And you can go and enjoy a vacation there and not be spending, you know, as much as you think you might. And then now we have the disaster. But I'm looking at Asia also. I mean, there's a lot of people. We have Jim Rogers, we used to have on the show often on Charles Goyette show I used to produce. Every week I'm calling him. He was in China somewhere coming on the show, and he even got a Mandarin-speaking nanny for his daughter she's probably about 5-6 years old now, little blonde girl speaking Mandarin. He thought the future is China. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's pretty hard to ignore an economy where there's, you know, well over 1 billion people. And I mean, same thing goes for India. I was recently in both places. And frankly, India has struck me a little bit more than China, mostly because China is so highly regulated. And in India, it's crazy town. It's kind of a place where anything goes. There's such a massive, you know, gap between the people who have succeeded and the people who haven't. But I'm really expecting a lot greater growth, greater things coming out of India in the future than in China.
Well, a lot of these countries are like all countries. They are happy to have your business. They're happy to have you come spend money. They're happy to have you start factories and such and everything. And then we'll see what happens later. But if you don't challenge the political establishment in China, they're pretty much, you know, do what you want, but you don't get to challenge our authority. And if you pay off the right guys, we'll leave you alone. But they got their own bubble going on with 65 million vacant apartments. I mean, you know, it's stupid how many cities they built that are empty. I'm not sure what that's all about. But yeah, I'm looking.
China's got a very bubblicious economy. Absolutely. I mean, there's
bubblicious.
I mean, bubblicious, absolutely.
Well, so India is probably in Asia, has got your attention more than most?
Well, I mean, the places that I like the most in Asia are really the smaller countries. I mean, places like Singapore. I'm a huge fan of Singapore. You know, structured businesses out of there, fantastic banking system. I mean, this is a place where you know, that has established the conditions for, you know, investors and entrepreneurs to be able to thrive. I mean, if you're productive, this is a place where you can go. You know, they've got a thriving job market. If you're you know, a skilled professional, you can find you know, a great job there with high pay. You can you know, you can invest there. You can start a business there very easily, and there's a lot of really lucrative opportunities. I also like Malaysia. It's a fantastic country, very easy to obtain residency there. A lot of opportunity. You know, people would expect. There's a lot of misconceptions about some of these places overseas. You know, you'd think that a lot of these are sort of poverty-stricken backwaters, and you know, a place like Kuala Lumpur is a bright, beautiful city. I think every bit as nice as a place like Chicago. I think a lot of people would be shocked to go to these places because it completely shatters their expectations of what they've sort of grown up believing. And I think that goes doubly for Americans. I mean, people think that, you know, it's this thing. They think that America is the greatest country in the world, and every other place is poor and destitute.
That thought process is being challenged, and that's one thing I wanted to talk about before the end of this segment is the people that are populating your site as they go there, they read, because I know how popular it is on Freedom's Phoenix. Once we had some mutual friends that sent it to me that I go, wow, this is good stuff. We started putting it up. People are commenting on it. People are eager to get the information that you provide. And I'm going, okay, cool. As the Freedom's Phoenix, it's all good. And I'm very happy you were able to spend time with us. But the thing is that, what kind of person is it that would pick India or Malaysia over Chile or Estonia over? I mean, are they looking to start businesses? Is it a cultural thing? Is it it's just that much better? What are they looking for? To start a business or just to maintain the wealth that they have? They want to transfer, expatriate, and just leave. Thanks for all the fish. We're out of here. I mean, what is it that makes up the demographic of the people that read your stuff? Do you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, it varies. Obviously varies from person to person, but I think that fundamentally it's people that are looking for options, people that feel that their instincts are telling them that something is wrong. And, they're looking for some validation that there are options out there. They don't necessarily need to be afraid of anything, that there are options out there that can lead to better paths to freedom and prosperity than what they've, grown up to believe their entire life. And, one of the things that we say all the time, the example that I paint, let's say you're a U.S. citizen, right? You're a U.S. citizen, you live in the U.S., you work in the U.S., you bank in the U.S., you hold your property in the U.S., maybe your brokerage accounts, your retirement funds, all these sorts of things are in the United States. One little thing goes wrong in the United States, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be, political calamity, although, based on the direction of things going, it's certainly not that unfeasible of an idea. But I mean, even little things, even your neighbor's kid falls in your swimming pool, and America has become such a litigious society. People are suing everybody over things, and you've got in any number of state and federal regulators that can freeze your accounts and confiscate your property and all of these kinds of things. You literally have all your eggs in one basket if you're living and working and investing and owning your property and banking and all these things all in that one country. And so one of the things that we say is just spread that out a little bit. Spread it out over multiple countries, particularly into places where, they have these smaller governments, more streamlined governments, more transparent governments, where you have a much better shake. You don't have to, you have savings. You don't have to bank in the United States banks and these, quasi-sovereign-owned, state-owned zombie banks that are, so full of garbage paper that you don't know whether or not they're solvent. You don't have to keep your savings in U.S. dollars. You don't have to hold your retirement savings in the United States.
You
all these
shouldn't hold your savings in U.S. dollars.
Absolutely.
No, you don't have to. It's like you better not. When we come back from this break, Simon's agreed to stay on another segment. Thank you, Simon. What we're going to do is continue the conversation on some more specific things. How do you get a passport? How difficult is it? How much can you take with you? Are you allowed to? How long, when you move to another country, do you still have to file U.S. IRS, they own me papers? There are so many reasons why we should leave. We need to understand how. Is it that difficult? We'll find out when we come back with The Sovereign Man, sovereignman.com in just a little bit.